There's Wavy telling you that we're about to get this show on the road. Hi there, everybody. Carson Meredith with you on a Saturday evening, 6:46 p.m. It is the 27th of September. How you doing? Hope you've had a good Saturday. What a gorgeous day, huh? A little bit warm, at least for this time of year, but all in all, can't really complain a whole lot. It's been spectacular. We're going to keep that trend going. Quite honestly, over the next 10 days, there's really not much of a rain chance on the way, which means our big focus is going to be Imelda, soon to be Imelda. Still hasn't officially been named yet. It's going to be some point, be it tonight or early tomorrow. And there's still a lot of question marks as to how Imelda is going to play out. I'm going to do my best to explain the scenarios we still have in play and what it means for us. I think, kind of a spoiler here, I don't think there's a major problem for us at all, if any. More than anything else, maybe just a few more clouds next week. That's about it for us. So we're just going to spend a lot of time talking about that, but we do have some summer-like warmth to talk about. Let me get you outside tonight to downtown. I'm going to have a gorgeous sunset this evening. Not really much in the way of clouds anymore. A lot of times you get some of those fair weather cumulus clouds that bubble up during the warmest part of the day. So we start to cool things down just a smidge. Those clouds dissipate. That's exactly what we're seeing tonight. 82 degrees, our current temperature. Last check, the high so far today here in Louisville is about 83. And most of us got into the low 80s earlier today. Our average this time of year is around 76. Or 78, I should say, 78. So here in town, we're about 5 degrees above that mark. Most of us about 2 or 3 degrees above average. Earlier today, not too bad, thanks to that big blue H. We love the big blue H. High pressure in control. It's centered out over the heartland. And as we zoom things out, you can see just how strong this ridge of high pressure is. I mean, the whole middle third of the country is all good. Not a lot happening. So much so that ridge is really making it feel toasty out there. Upper 80s, some 90s in that part of the world. You go further to the east, and you see already some action along the East Coast in the Mid-Atlantic. This is not Imelda. This is not Imelda yet. This is just that stalled frontal boundary that moved through our area. What would that have been? Wednesday night, early Thursday. That is the front that moved through here Wednesday night and Thursday. There's a couple of upper level lows right along that front, right along that boundary. And that's what's setting off the showers and storms to our east this evening. All of that action will keep lifting north and east throughout the night, and it will not be a problem for us whatsoever. But that's the story just off to our east. Not tropical yet. Overnight tonight here at home, it's quiet. 60 our low here in the city. I think a lot of you will be in the upper 50s tomorrow morning. So pretty similar to this morning, maybe a degree or two warmer. All in all, not too bad. But we mentioned that ridge of high pressure. It's stout. It's not going anywhere. And that means at least for tomorrow and Monday, we're going to call it a summer throwback. Not miserably humid at all. There's really no humidity to speak of, which will make it feel comfortable, but still warm. 86 our forecast high tomorrow on Sunday. A lot of you will be in that 84, 85 ballpark. So still above average, and maybe just another little taste of summer to enjoy for these last couple of days of September. How about Monday? Look at this, 87. Ooh. Remember when I said I'm 95% confident that we're done with the 90s? This was that 5% chance. Now, I don't think we're going to hit 90 on Monday, but, you know, we always have these little warm spurts late September into early October that try to get us to near 90. But in this scenario, it looks like we will come up just short. And I'm not upset about that. So a couple of warm summer-like days ahead, but it will not be humid at all. It'll still feel very comfortable. A light breeze out of the north and northeast. Just a little bit warm on the thermometer, and that's about it. Who's here tonight? The usuals. Crispy's here. How you doing? Weather Geek. Is Imelda setting up to be a repeat of Helene? Obviously, this time frame is the 1-year anniversary of Helene. In fact, I see on our monitor here, NBC News is doing a story on the 1-year anniversary of Helene, which is crazy how time flies. This will not be a repeat of Helene. It will not be as extreme when it comes to the rainfall totals with what we saw with Helene. However, this could still be a significant event for the Carolinas, mainly from a flooding standpoint, and mainly for the coast of the Carolinas, South Carolina specifically. But I do not see this being an extreme, horrific, catastrophic situation like we had with Helene. Still significant, but not to the extreme levels that we saw with Helene. We can be thankful for that. Sean's here down in Bardstown. Weather Geek saying hello to Crispy. I love how the YouTube guys have a little crowd. It's cool. Every social platform does, it looks like. I love it. Jeremy's watching us down near Lake Cumberland in Russell County. Good day to be out on the water. I'm not sure if you want to be, swimming in the water. I don't know how warm or cold the water is at this point, but still a good day to be outside, right? Let's see. Kelly's here. Margaret's here down in Lebanon. Shout out Marion County. Albert's here. Gary's up in Pee Wee Valley. Bella asked the $1 million question. Are we getting this? And by this, I would imagine you mean Imelda. The impacts for us from Imelda will be extremely minor. This will not be a big deal for us at all. I think there is a possibility that most of wave country is dry for at least 7 days, maybe 10. But nonetheless, let's spend the rest of our time tonight talking about the tropics because it is so quiet here at home. So obviously, we've got two systems we're watching. We're really focused on Imelda mainly because that's going to have the most direct impacts in the U.S., right? For the time being, Imelda still technically doesn't exist. It's still Tropical Depression 9. Tropical Depression 9. It's starting to get its act together. There is a closed low that has developed, which is basically what you need when we have a tropical depression, which is the beginning stages of a tropical system developing. And I do believe Imelda will be a named tropical storm either this evening or overnight tonight. So by the time you see me on Wave News Sunrise tomorrow morning at 6, I'm going to be talking about Tropical Storm Imelda. It's only a matter of time. But I do want to talk about Umberto as well, because this thing is an absolute beast. Zoom in on this. Look at this. Oh, man. That is a buzzsaw hurricane. A Category 5 hurricane, as classic of a major hurricane as you're ever going to see on satellite. 160 mile per hour sustained winds right at the eye, with wind gust approaching 200 miles per hour. Another hurricane that rapidly intensified, our third hurricane this season. And all three of those hurricanes so far this season have been major hurricanes, Category 3 or higher, which is an interesting stat in and of itself. Umberto is the second Category 5 hurricane. Hurricane Aaron was the other one. You might remember that back in August, I think it was. Now, let's be clear. Umberto, thank the Lord, will not directly impact the United States. The key word is directly, because Umberto and its path will have an effect on Imelda, which in turn could have impacts on the U.S., specifically the Carolinas. This is one of the more complex tropical setups I can remember. Mind you, I've only been in this career for about 6 years, and I acknowledge that, but I can't remember seeing a tropical setup with this many puzzle pieces that we have to figure out. And that's exactly what this is, a big puzzle that we'll have to sort through in the days ahead. Now, as we mentioned, Umberto is not going to directly affect the U.S. Look at the right side of the map. I'm drawing out the general track of Umberto. Notice how it's going to curve back out to sea. Still is a major hurricane as it scoots right by Bermuda, just to the west of it. But no direct landfall is expected really anywhere. It should miss Bermuda to the west and northwest, and Umberto is not going to affect the U.S. directly. So our main focus is Imelda, or soon to be Imelda. Now, I'm sure you guys have been absolutely bombarded with social media posts on all your feeds, with every single model run, every single ensemble guidance, everything for the last 3 days, it seems. And there's still, again, a lot of moving parts with how this is going to play out. If you were watching us yesterday and back on Thursday, this looked like it was going to make landfall somewhere in the Carolinas, likely South Carolina, and potentially be a catastrophic flooding event. Well, last night, that started to flip, where Imelda would go right up the Florida coast, just off the Florida coast, get close to South Carolina, and then start to move out to sea, basically due east. It's like it put on the brakes because it had to drift to make a right turn because it was going to miss its right turn. It's like those people that miss an exit on the interstate and they think it's smart to dive across 3 lanes of traffic to get into the exit lane. That's basically what Imelda looks like it might do based on the trends we're seeing. And the reason why, it's basically a bunch of bumper cars, and we'll kind of explain that on another map here in a second. Here's a closer look at Imelda's track. And you notice it's going to be the weaker of the 2 storms. Umberto's a Cat 5. Imelda will likely be a Cat 1 at its peak. You do notice tropical storm warnings in blue for the Bahamas. And you also notice in yellow, right here on the Florida coast, the east coast of Florida, the Atlantic coast, up towards Daytona, down towards Cape Canaveral and Fort Pierce, that yellow box or yellow bar, tropical storm watches. As Imelda scoots by just east of Florida into Sunday night and Monday, there's going to be some outer bands that bring tropical storm force winds and heavy rain to that Atlantic coastline of Florida. So that's why we have those tropical alerts there. As we keep going, notice it strengthens into a Cat 1, likely around, we'll just say Tuesday morning. But at the same time as it's trying to go into the Carolinas, it starts making its right-hand turn. This will be during the day on Tuesday. It's going to take a while for Imelda to make this right turn back out to sea. So as a result, it's going to look like that it's stalling out on the maps, on the radar, and on the satellite. And that stalling out is really going to be the source of the flooding concern for the Carolinas. And based on the current trends, this would also be the point at which Imelda is the closest to the United States. That's where our potential comes in for maybe some moisture sneaking into wave country as we get towards Tuesday in particular. So Tuesday is kind of the benchmark day, it looks like, with Imelda. That's when it's likely going to become a Category 1 hurricane. That's when it's going to start to stall out right off the coast. And that's when it's going to start to make its right-hand turn based on the latest trends. And I keep saying that because the models have been all over the place, and this could flip right back to where it's a landfalling hurricane for the Carolinas. Not right now, but that could change quickly. So here's why this setup is so complicated. You've got basically so many different steering mechanisms in the atmosphere that Imelda can't make up its mind on where it wants to go. The first of which, this right here, I'll put an I next to it. That's Imelda right here, where you see that hurricane icon. This is Umberto, Okay. So you see how those two hurricanes are basically paralleling each other. Imelda to the west, or the left side of the map, Humberto to the right side of the map, to the east. And as you've probably seen a lot of, the question is going to be, can Humberto get close enough to Imelda as we get towards Tuesday to where, as Humberto starts to drift out to sea, it kind of takes Imelda with it, following its tracks. Kind of like how your dog follows you around the house, right? You go walk into the kitchen, that's what Humberto's going to do. He's going to walk that way. And then your dog sees you're walking to the kitchen, maybe getting some food, and it wants to go with Humberto. It wants to follow behind it, right? And that's basically what the models are suggesting. Humberto's going to get close enough to Imelda to where as it makes its turn, as Humberto makes his turn, he's going to drag Imelda with him. Okay? That's where the trends stand at this point. And the reason why that's the likely scenario, at least for now, is because you've got this big dome of high pressure that's centered up near Canada that is basically blocking Imelda from moving further inland. So that's why we mean when we say Imelda doesn't really know where to go. It wants to go inland, but it can't. It can't really escape offshore because Humberto's out there. Imelda's got to wait on Humberto to get by. So there's just a ton of different puzzle pieces with this setup. It's very rare to see something like this. What does that mean for us? Well, quite honestly, not a ton. Just to be totally honest with you, we're becoming more and more confident that next week is mostly dry, excuse me, for our area. The only rain chance we have, let me back up the map one more time. Forgive me. So we get into Tuesday. I mentioned a moment ago that that's when Imelda is going to be at its closest to the shore, closest to the Carolina coast. That is when we may have an opportunity for not only some cloud cover to kind of drift in from the east in our area, but that's where we could also perhaps see one or two showers sneak in. So it's a 10% rain chance on Tuesday. That's it. I truly think for a lot of us, it is just going to be a little more cloud cover. And that's it. If we're going to see any showers right now, it looks to be Tuesday, and it looks to be east of Interstate 65, where the better moisture will likely be. But as Brian has talked about, a lot of times the moisture from these tropical systems, they can't make it across the Appalachian Mountains, which leaves us dry on the opposite side. So that's really our only effect. It's mainly just more clouds, perhaps a shower or two on Tuesday. That's it, when Imelda is at its closest to the shore. Now let's go to Wednesday. You see Humberto is making his turn, okay? High pressure still getting anchored down across the Northeast and the Midwest, including here. And Imelda is slowly, I mean slowly, starting to make her right turn out towards the sea. This is where things get interesting. As we said, mostly the trend today has been for Imelda to be like a dog following its owner and going right behind Humberto out to sea. Bye-bye. See you later. But this is the European model, which you guys know we use very often. Many meteorologists do. And while it suggests into Wednesday and Thursday that it starts to drift out to sea, Humberto kind of leaves it in the dust, which means Imelda starts to wander around again. And if that were to be the case, where Humberto says see ya and Imelda gets left behind, there is a possibility that Imelda gets pushed out to sea Wednesday and especially Thursday, but then starts to retreat back into the Carolinas next weekend. That is a possibility. I will tell you the European model is the only one at this point suggesting that. But it's something that I'm going to pay attention to, especially looking at data this evening to see if any other models latch on to that idea. So it's truly a wait and see game still, guys, which is it's a little nerve-wracking for us as meteorologists because we're usually we got a pretty good idea of how these systems are going to play out with 3 days to go. But we're confident in Imelda stalling out near the Carolinas on Tuesday. We're confident on it making a right turn out to sea Tuesday night into Wednesday and into Thursday. Beyond that, the question now becomes, does Umberto go leave it in the dust? And does Imelda just decide to wander a little further out sea late week and try to move back in next weekend? That's the big question at this point. Again, for us in wave country, the only true impacts I see are a little more cloud cover, maybe 1 or 2 showers on Tuesday in particular, and a little drop in temperatures. Not a huge drop, but that cloud cover and some slightly cooler air filtering in will be enough to knock us back down to the upper 70s and near 80 by the middle part of the week and into late week. Here's the rainfall forecast. Again, for us, not much at all. I think a lot of us do stay dry. Excuse me. But as we've talked about, with Imelda stalling out just offshore on Tuesday, the northern side of the system is just going to dump buckets of rain. So this will still be a significant flooding event, especially for the coast of the Carolinas, particularly South Carolina. Basically from Charleston north, Charleston up to the Outer Banks. That's where we will likely see the most significant rainfall out of this. Not to the levels of Helene, but still significant. We will have flooding along the coast of the Carolinas, especially next week. The brighter red that you see from Charleston up to Myrtle Beach, Wilmington up to the Outer Banks, that's around 6 to 10 inches of rain. And if you look really closely, I think I can zoom in on it. Yeah. If you get to Morehead City, North Carolina, Wilmington, Oak Island, those beaches north of Myrtle Beach, this darker red is where we could see nearly a foot of rain directly along that portion of the coast. So this is going to be, no matter what Imelda does, whether she goes way out to sea and leaves us behind, or if she goes a little out to sea and comes back, this is still going to be a significant flooding event, especially for the coast of the Carolinas. Not Helene levels, not Helene territory, but still significant. But the good thing is, if there is any good thing with this, is the fact that Imelda is going to some capacity move out to sea. That's going to significantly lower the rainfall amounts for the mountains that were just devastated by Helene. They'll still get a couple inches of rain, but nothing like Helene, thankfully. This will be a big story, obviously, though, for the coast of the Carolinas as we head into next week. Did you guys get that? I know I've been rambling for the last 15 minutes. I apologize, but I hope that all made sense because this is one of the more complex tropical setups we've had in quite some time, one of the most complex I've had in my career. And there's still some puzzle pieces that we have to figure out. So I'll pull up the 10-day. And if you guys have any comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, critiques, fire them my way. As far as our forecast, again, it's pretty quiet. It's a very good thing that we had all that rain this past week because we're looking really dry for the next 10 days. 86 tomorrow, 87 Monday. Start to see that cloud cover increase on Tuesday. And again, I think that's when we might have a couple of showers sneak in. It's not going to be a ton. So it's only a 10% chance. I would not bank on any rain Tuesday. I think a lot of us will stay dry. So There you go. And in addition to the cloud cover, you do notice that we will get a slight cool down in the upper 70s to low 80s by the end of next week and into the following weekend. But that's where we stand at this point, guys. Again, complicated setup. Forgive me for rambling about it, but I really hope that makes sense for you guys. Let's see here. Lorene says, thanks for the update. Sure, of course. Pam is watching in a semi in Oklahoma, where the weather's great. There you go. From Brandenburg. All right. Shout out to Meade County. Wild story about a family finding a World War II artillery in their yard in Brandenburg this week, huh? But thanks for watching, Pam, all the way out in Oklahoma. Hope y'all stay safe. DJ King's here. Angela's a little late, got wrapped up in the Navy game. Did Navy win? I haven't been paying attention today. It's that time of year for sure. Albert's asking about Umberto. Is there a possibility that Umberto could actually push Imelda closer to shore instead of dragging it out to sea? That is a very good question. And there has been, which map do I want to show here? I'll show the one with both of the hurricane tracks to explain this. There has been a slight westward jog with Imelda looking over the 18Z data, the mid-afternoon data. A slight westward jog. And I think that's partially the result of the fact that Umberto is still going just a tiny bit west, more west than anticipated, which makes sense because the thing's a daggone monster. It's a Cat 5, right? But at this point, I don't see it. I don't see Umberto influencing Imelda to the point that it brings it inland. As in, I don't think it's going to push Imelda inland. If Imelda's going to go inland, it's going to do it on its own. That's what I'm trying to say. It'll be where Umberto leaves it in the dust. Whoops. It leaves Umberto leaves Imelda in the dust, and then Imelda drifts back inland, like we talked about. I don't see Umberto necessarily pushing Imelda inland like that. Imelda would go inland on her own. Bottom line. Lori's asking about next weekend. Could we get rain from it if Imelda backtracks into the Carolinas? It is possible, but it's the possibility like we have on Tuesday, just 10%. I think we'll stay dry from Imelda almost entirely. I'll pop up the 10-day again. You will notice once the 10-day comes up at the end of it. Hang on. There you go. You notice next Monday and next Tuesday, there are 20% rain chances in play. That's mainly thanks to another system we're watching. Completely unrelated from the tropics, really. So there's a tiny chance, Lori, for maybe a shower if Imelda does move back inland next weekend. But again, it's only a 10% chance like we have on Tuesday. That's about it. Angela, hopefully Umberto will lose a lot of its intensity before it gets near Bermuda. I hope so, but I don't like what I'm seeing. I still think it'll be a major hurricane as it moves by. Of course, the question will be, is it close enough to where we have damaging wind on the island? And it'll be a close call. So I don't think they'll have to deal with major hurricane force winds, but they could definitely deal with tropical storm wind gusts around 60 miles per hour. I could certainly see that. Let's see. Okay, Navy did win. Well, there you go. Let's see. Gary, when do you expect the cold front to deliver summer's knockout punch? There still looks to be some sort of front during that first full week of October. So the week of October 6th through 10th, that week in particular, models are coming back to that idea Well, they never really left it, but they still have that idea of a front moving through during that time, October 6th through 10th. Will it be the knockout punch? I think it's too early to say. Right now, I'm leaning towards no. But that can change. Initially it looked like it would be. It looked like that front would be the knockout punch. Now it's not so much. We could be talking here tomorrow night and some of the models will be saying, oh yeah, it is going to be the knockout punch. A little too far out, but I think that 6th through 10th time frame, that work week, there will be a front moving through, and we'll just have to see if that is indeed going to be the knockout punch for summer. Time will tell. Let's see. Lori's asking about the 11th and 12th of October. That second week of October is always a busy week around here. What plays out that weekend will depend on that front we see that work week. So stay tuned. It's a couple weeks away. Stay tuned on that one. We'll get more specifics down the road. Will our next main rain chance be with that cold front? Probably. And even then, from what I've seen, it doesn't look like a ton. I'm telling you guys, be thankful we got that rain this past week. If we didn't, we'd be in major trouble when it comes to the drought. And as I told you guys, I was kind of skeptical that all that rain was going to completely get rid of the drought. It was great. We needed it. We got 2 to 4 inches of rain in most spots, which was awesome. But, I mean, look at the 10-day. We're drying out really quickly again. So I'm afraid this drought, while it might improve when the next update comes in on Thursday, I don't think it's going to totally go away. And unfortunately, it might worsen again as we go later into October, especially if that front between the 6th and the 10th doesn't have much precipitation with it. So that's where we stand, friends. Again, a very tricky tropical setup, but I hope I made sense. We tried to sort out all the possibilities at this point. Again, I do not believe there is going to be major impacts for wave country. If anything, just 1 or 2 showers on Tuesday. 10% chance. That's it. We'll just likely see a little more cloud cover than anything else. But obviously, I know a lot of you go down to the Carolinas for vacations. I know one of our photographers here at Wave was supposed to go to South Carolina next week. Comes up to me yesterday. He's like, should I just make it a staycation? I was like, yeah, probably. So I know a lot of you guys are very interested in how that's all going to play out. So we're going to keep watching it. Things are quiet here. We don't have to worry about too much here. So we'll spend a lot of time on Imelda and Umberto over the next few days. So that's where we stand at this point, guys. Gary, okay, said I was very clear on the setup. Good. That's what I want to hear. And you guys can call me out anytime if I'm not. I don't mind. I don't get my feelings hurt. All right. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. If you missed anything, give it 30 seconds on whatever social media platform you're watching, and you can replay this video. We've got college football on Wave tonight. Big game. Oregon against Penn State. Top 10 matchup. We will be on with Wave News at 11 immediately following that Oregon-Penn State game with an update on the tropics. We'll see after the game tonight if Imelda is in tropical storm at that point. And we'll talk more about this warm weather we got on the way over the next couple of days as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. You can catch me tonight on Wave News at 11, or tomorrow we'll gather on TV at the same times and right here on Wave Weather Now around the same time as well. Have a great Saturday night, everybody. Talk soon.